Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack some of the world's most powerful ideas to make them, well, useful.
And today, we're tackling something that sounds almost like a myth.
It really does. Our sources call it the magic jar, and it's basically a simple, powerful way to understand compound interest.
Our goal here is pretty simple. We want to get past all the financial jargon and dig into the actual mechanics of how your money can grow, while you're sleeping.
And we want to show you why patience is the secret ingredient.
It's the active ingredient.
Okay, so let's start with the absolute core mechanic. Interest gets added to your principal, your starting amount.
Right.
And then the next time interest is paid, it's calculated on that new, bigger total.
And that adding it back part, that's everything. It creates a feedback loop.
It's the whole secret sauce.
Exactly.
To really get a feel for this, our sources use a great analogy. They call it the jelly bean test.
The magic jar.
Imagine you have a jar, and you start with just 10 jelly beans inside.
Okay, 10 jelly beans. And this jar has a rule. It has a 10% annual growth rate. So that's our interest rate.
In year one, 10% of 10 is 1. So you get 1 extra jelly bean. Your total is now 11.
And this is where most people's brains kind of check out. They think, okay, 1 bean a year, big deal.
They assume it's linear, but it's not. So year 2, the jar looks at the new total 11 jelly beans.
And it calculates 10% of that,
Yeah.
which is 1.1 beans. The sources just ran it down for simplicity, so we add 1 more bean. Now you're 12.
It feels incredibly slow.
It is. After 3 years, you've only gone from 10 to 13. The early returns are tiny, and that's the psychological trap.
But what happens if you just leave it alone? Let's jump ahead 20 years. You haven't added a single jelly bean yourself.
And that initial 10 has grown to over 67 jelly beans.
The jar did all the work.
It did all the heavy lifting. And that's exactly how money works in a real account. The slow start hides what's coming later.
I think to really understand the explosive part of what's coming later, we need a more dramatic example.
Right, we need to talk about pure exponential growth.
The rice on the chessboard story.
It's the perfect parable for this.
So the story goes, a man invents chess for a king, and the king is so grateful he offers him any reward he wants.
And the inventor makes this request that sounds so humble, so small. He asks for 1 grain of rice on the first square of the chessboard.
Just 1.
Then 2 on the second, 4 on the third, just doubling it for all 64 squares.
The king, he thinks he's getting off easy. He agrees immediately.
Of course. But let's look at the math. For the first few rows, it's nothing. Square 10 is only 512 grains. That's not even a full cup of rice.
It's totally manageable.
But then you jump to square 20. Suddenly, you're over 1 million grains of rice.
Okay, now it's getting interesting.
But here's the aha moment. Jump again to square 30. Now it's over 1 billion grains.
And you're not even halfway across the board.
Not even close. The growth on the second half of the board is where the explosion happens. The final total for all 64 squares. It's more rice than exists on the entire planet.
It's an astronomical number.
18 quintillion grains, something like that. It's mind-boggling. And that's the same dynamic. A slow, boring start that hides this inevitable massive explosion later on.
And time is really the critical factor that unlocks that explosion.
It's the multiplier.
So let's bring this back to real money. The sources use this great example. A single $100 gift invested at birth, earning 10% a year.
And we should be clear that 10% is a historical average for something like a broad market index fund. It's not a guarantee.
Right. And this is a simple model. We're ignoring things like inflation or taxes just to isolate the power of the compounding itself.
Absolutely. So let's track that $100. After 10 years, it's grown to about $259.
Okay, not bad. More than doubled.
By the time that person is 30, that same $100 is now worth around $1,745.
Still not life-changing money, but you can see it's starting to pick up steam.
Exactly. Now watch what happens in the next 2 decades. By age 50, that initial $100 has ballooned to over $11,700.
Wow.
And here's the kicker. If you leave it completely alone until age 70, that $100 turns into over $200,000.
From a single $100 bill.
All of that growth, nearly $200,000 of it, was created just by the compounding, just by waiting.
Which brings us to that famous quote from Charlie Munger, which is in our sources.
The big money is not in the buying or the selling, but in the waiting.
And he didn't just mean patience as, a virtue.
No, he meant it as an active financial strategy.
Sure.
Waiting means you are protecting the engine so it can do its work. You are letting time do the heavy lifting.
Okay, so we've seen how time is a massive lever, but the sources point to another one, frequency. How often the compounding happens.
Yes, and they use a really modern, relatable example for this, Robux.
Right, so instead of dollars growing annually, imagine 1,000 Robux growing at a crazy fast rate, 20% per month.
And we have to stress, 20% a month is not realistic for an investment. It's just to show the mechanism at high speed.
So after month 1, your 1,000 Robux becomes 1,200.
After month 2, it's 1,440. The growth is happening on the new total every single month.
And because it's compounding so frequently, by the end of just 1 year, that 1,000 Robux has shot up to over 8,900.
An enormous jump. And if you let that run for 3 years, you're sitting on over 79,000 Robux.
From just 1,000 to start.
The lesson is that the more frequently your interest is calculated and added back, the faster that geometric curve goes vertical.
So we get the mechanism, we get the power of time and frequency. Now let's talk about the actionable plan.
This is the exciting part.
The $5 a week millionaire challenge.
It's designed to show how unbelievably powerful small, consistent contributions can be when you combine them with that compounding engine.
The premise is super simple. A kid starts at age 10, and they save just $5 every week.
That's it, $5. It adds up to $260 a year. It's not a huge amount of money.
It's an achievable habit. So let's track this, again, assuming that 10% long-term average growth.
Okay, by age 20, after 10 years of saving $5 a week, they have about $4,000.
They've put in 2,600 themselves, so they've already made 1,400 just from growth.
Right. It's visible, but it's still in that slow phase. But now watch the acceleration. By age 40, they cross the $100,000 mark. They're at about $126,000.
And this is the turning point, isn't it?
This is the critical moment. The account is now so large that the money it earns in a single year is way more than the $260 they're contributing.
The wealth is now generating itself.
It's self-sustaining. By age 50, that number surges to over $600,000.
And the final number, this person just keeps doing that $5 a week until they're 65.
The total is over $2 million.
$2 million from $5 a week.
They personally contributed only about $14,000 over all those decades. The rest, that was just pure geometric growth, the machine doing its thing.
The source material puts it beautifully. It says, you gave your money time to grow babies, and those babies grew babies.
That's a perfect way to think about it.
So if someone is listening to this and wants to start their own magic jar, what are the first steps? The sources lay out 3 really practical ones.
Step 1 is to get a home for the engine. Open a savings account, preferably one with low or no fees, like a youth account at a bank or a credit union.
A dedicated spot for it.
Exactly. Step 2 is to use modern tools to make saving automatic. Apps that round up your purchases and save the change are great for this. The sources mention Acorns as an example for adults. It makes consistency effortless.
And the third step is more psychological, but it's really important.
It really is. Start a physical, clear magic jar at home. Put your $5 in there every week so you can see it building up.
Yeah.
It makes the habit tangible while you're waiting for the numbers in the bank account to get exciting.
But no matter which method you choose, there's one rule that you just cannot break.
The most important rule of all.
Never eat the jelly beans too early.
Never interfere with the process. The magic only gets, as the source says, crazier the longer you leave the money alone. If you pull money out, you're not just taking that money. You're killing all the future babies that money would have grown. You reset the clock.
So let's wrap this up. Our deep dive into this magic jar concept. It really shows that compound interest isn't some complex mystery.
No, it's a simple law of finance. It just needs 2 things from you.
Consistent saving, even small amounts, and an incredible amount of patience.
And if we look at the big picture, the sources leave us with a really powerful kind of provocative thought. It basically presents a choice.
What's the choice?
It says, people who take money out early stay normal. People who wait become legends.
That's a powerful way to frame it.
So the question you should be asking yourself is this. Is your financial life set up for that short-term, normal path? Or are you playing the long game? Are you using the waiting strategy to unlock that legendary potential?
That choice between waiting and withdrawing, it might be the most important financial decision you ever make. We'll see you next time for the next deep dive.